Hi, and welcome to Psych 245. And we're going to use these videos. There's going to be three of these videos in this orientation to get you set up for success in the course. And we're going to start here by looking at the syllabus together and looking at the structure of the course and how you're going to earn your grade. You have actually a couple of days to get yourself settled and to get familiar with how the course is going to work. And then we'll start with our first chapter and our first real content on Thursday later this week. It also gives you some days to start reading chapter 1 so that you're not scrambling to do that while you're actually completing other work related to the chapter. So it gives you kind of time to get set up in that way as well. But we're going to look at the syllabus together. And I did send out a copy of this syllabus a few days ago. I have revised, made some edits to it. And so I'll point those out as we go as well, so that if you did print out a syllabus or download it before I made the edits, you can either just see what's different here or get yourself a new copy. Or both. All right, so looking at the syllabus quickly here, just looking at some of the background information that you should know. The first thing probably important to pay attention to is how to get in touch with me, and the fact that our course is asynchronous, right? So an asynchronous course means we have no class meetings. We will have a schedule, a very tight schedule actually, but we don't have class meetings. And so you'll have to get work done by due dates, but we will not be working together at the same time. So when you post discussions, other people may not be on posting discussions at that moment. I probably won't be on posting replies to you at that moment, but we will interact with each other over time. And the best way to get in touch with me is my college email, which you see listed here. I am good about checking email. If you don't get a response back from me within a day, it probably means something's gone wrong, either in your email reaching me or somehow I've missed your email. And if that happens, just reach back out to me and ask me if I've seen your previous email, and I'll find it or let you know that that never reached me. And so that is the best way to reach me. I'm not on campus over the summer, and so my office is not a good place to find me. And I will be available for virtual meetings on WebEx. You can see the link here. And if you want to meet with me, you'll need to reach out to me by email and request an appointment. When you do that, it is good to give me some sense of your schedule so that I can try to come up with times that are more likely to work for you. Okay, so keep those things in mind. You will need your textbook, and so I did send out information about that a while back. And so you will need your textbook, I think, in that original email, and that email is still on the announcements page. So if you signed up for the class, for example, after I emailed it, you can find that on our announcements page, and that will be true of everything I ever send out to you guys. The 14th edition should have used copies floating around. So if you want to buy a hard copy but don't want to spend the money for a new copy, you can buy a used copy. There are also digital copies available for much less money, and you can rent either a hard copy or a digital copy from various sources, and that's even less money. But you will need a textbook, and you certainly will need it by Thursday this week. So make sure that if you haven't gotten one yet, probably your quickest ways to get one at this point are either to download or rent a digital copy, or to go to our bookstore and buy the hard copy there. All right. In terms of grading, which I know is the thing you're most interested in, often here at the start, we do operate on a 1,000-point system. And our 1,000-point system is represented here in this chart, where it corresponds to the college's expectations for where the cutoffs for different letter grades will be. And so you can see that if you earned all of the points that you needed to earn, didn't lose any, and didn't do any extra credit, you'd have 1,000 points for our class, and you'd nicely secure that A for yourself. But you might also get an A if you earned 930 points, right? You would also get an A if you earned 930 points. And so you can see the cutoffs here and how that's going to work. The 1,000-point system means that when you look in My Grades on Blackboard, you'll always see a running total of how many points you've earned. I never work off percentages. We'll never be working off percentages in terms of grading. So if you lose 5 points on a 15-point discussion, you haven't earned a 67%. You have lost 5 points out of 1,000, and that is the important way to think about that. I like the 1,000-point grading system. Those of you who've had classes with me before know that I operate this way in all of my classes. And the 1,000-point grading system, I think, does a couple of things. It makes for really transparent grading, I think, but it also means you earn every point, you keep every point that you earn. So if you were to get a 50%, right? If you were to get 75 out of 150 points in one of our exams, that wouldn't be great if we were dealing on percentages. You'd essentially, it would be as if you never took the exam because you'd have an F for the exam. But that's not how we operate. You would keep the 75 points. You would have lost 75 points out of 1,000, but you'd still be at 925, which means that you could still salvage your grade in lots of other ways. Okay. In terms of how we get to 1,000, we, looking at our criteria here for how your grade is going to be calculated, the first thing you'll see is that you will have 3 exams. They're 150 points each for a total of 450 points. Those will be essay exams. We will be talking about big concepts through the course as opposed to making you memorize lots of facts. And the essay exams give you an opportunity to talk to me about the large concepts that you've learned. You will have the essay questions a day before the exam opens, and so it does give you an opportunity to assemble your thoughts and reassure yourself that you know what you need to know before taking the exam. Exams will be open for 2 hours, which is more than enough time, especially because you'll have the questions ahead of time, and they'll be open for a handful of days that are listed that we'll look at in the next video. You'll also have a term paper worth 200 points, and there are 2 foundational assignments associated with that term paper worth 25 points each. So the total for all of the term paper work is 250 points. We'll have a separate video where I talk in detail about the term paper, so I won't talk about it here. So we'll come back to that, but if you're doing the math, we're at 700 points so far. For each chapter, we'll have 13 chapters. For each of your chapters, you will also have discussions. You'll have work due for each of the chapters. And within those discussions, within those chapters, you'll have 2 discussions. One of those will either be a whole class discussion prompt where you're all responding first to my prompt and then to each other on a specific topic. That will be the case for the first chapter. And then for most of the remaining chapters after chapter 1, you'll actually be in small groups having these discussions. So there'll still be a prompt from me, usually a case study, that you'll be looking at and then answering questions about. And you'll be working together in a small group of maybe 5 or 6 people to collaborate with each other and then eventually to create a document that you'll be submitting to me, that one group member will submit to me. Not all group members will necessarily earn the same grade for that group project. Because you'll be working in discussions, I can see that your level of discussion and your level of contribution will matter for your grade. So one of the most important things for me is that you are actually collaborating with your classmates. And so you can post things that wind up being incorrect and that won't hurt your grade as long as you are collaborating with your group mates. And so collaboration means being consistently involved. If you show up with your first discussion post in the small group, in the second half of the last day in which work is happening for that chapter, you're not going to likely earn a full grade for the discussion, since hopefully your classmates will have been working for several days before then. But if you're working consistently and you're making a sincere effort at contributing to the group work, then those are then you'll earn full credit for that. And then you will also have in each chapter a muddiest point discussion, and both the muddiest points and that previous discussion forum are worth 15 points each. So 195 points for what will mostly be the small group work. And then also for the Muddiest Point, you can earn up to 195 points total. Muddiest Points is you post a question. And so, you know, that could be a question of something you truly are confused about, or that might be a question about something you just want to know more about. And so you post a question, and then you are also required to respond to a classmate. What you'll see here in italics is that you only need to earn 105 points to get to your 1,000 if you do the math. Right, we're at 895 through the last discussion that we talked about, so 105 would bring you to 1,000. Any points above 105, so if you engage in every one of the Muddiest Points and earn full credit, right, any points above the 105 will just be counted as extra credit, so kind of a buffer of points, as you will, and so it'll be added to your total. That also means you could opt out of essentially almost half of these Muddiest Points discussions and still earn sufficient points to get to 1,000. But of course, you know, that assumes that you're going to earn full credit on everything else for the course. So, you know, I think the better way of thinking about it is that you're banking extra points as you participate in anything above 6 for that.